Please, allow me to show you something.
Hope you guys enjoyed that little bit. Last week, someone had commented that I sounded like I was doing a EDM? ASMR video. And what the heck is EDM? I don't know. I feel like this type of music. No, I sounded like I was doing ASMR. And I thought that was really, really funny, so I went that with you guys. But speaking of new things, this week we're doing a different kind of custom. That's going to kind of tie into the new Avengers movie coming up, which I am super hyped to sit down for over 3 hours and just enjoy this beautiful story coming to an end. But I love stories. I love telling stories. I love creating things. That's why I started this channel, because I liked and really, really enjoyed to create things. And I had a really cool what if in my head that I wanted to share with you guys in a kind of story time setting way of doing this. So I'm going to kind of share with you my thoughts on a what if scenario and how it might happen. So this what if scenario is going to be mainly around Captain America. What if Captain America was in the medieval times? Like, how would he get there? What would he do? Who would he fight? What would be going on? And that kind of like story, like how would that play out? So I want to share with you my version of like how that might happen. And I even have like a little bit of like my own like little fan drawing, if you will, of like what he would look like during different stages of it, you know, who he would like come in contact with. And we're just going to have fun with this and see what kind of happens. Let's do it. So I have two different versions of how this might go down, like how Captain America would get launched into the medieval times. It's not his first time doing time traveling. Even the origins of his story, of how we're introduced to him, even in the MCU, he's trapped under ice, comes out like a ice zombie, if you will, and has jumped forward in time because his body was perfectly frozen. So that in itself is like a crazy version of time travel, a little really weird version of it, but it still works, still counts. So time travel is not too far away from the idea of the MCU and Captain Marvel, and also like with the time stone that Doctor Strange uses. So how would he in fact, or why would he in fact go back to this time period? I had two different ideas behind this. So idea number one, he wanted to go back in time after like, you know, he had settled a bunch of conflicts, you know, in the current time, and if possible, he would love to be sent back in time to be with his friends and kind of like with the same time period he was before missing from history. I don't think that would actually work though, because of the fact that I think Captain America himself wouldn't want to travel back in time like that out of fear of changing history, that it could change everything that happens in the future. So I kind of tossed that idea out the window and went with this idea of the fact that we're in the medieval times, and maybe in this time period, King Arthur and Merlin are characters that actually have abilities in there related to the MCU. Maybe Merlin has some of the Infinity Stones, or one of them, like the Time Stone, that he can kind of use, and that's kind of like what his abilities are. And so I had this idea of like maybe Merlin's staff is the same staff that kind of like Loki uses in the beginning of the MCU, like the first Avengers movie. So using that kind of ability, he summons a great warrior from the future, which happens to be Captain America. Wow, that's bad. I'm gonna say it again. So using his maybe abilities, maybe it's not an Infinity Stone if we're trying to not stay with the MCU. Maybe he just has his own abilities. So using his abilities, he takes Captain America from the future and puts them right there at medieval times. But it doesn't quite work to where he doesn't exactly drop him off the right location. He drops off in the middle of a field, witnessing a group of knights getting chased down by another group of knights. Confused about where he is, one of them, let's change this up because I don't know if that would work. This would work better. Okay, so he drops down in an environment where a group of knights are chasing down two guys running away. He kind of steps in to help just because that's what he does. That's what a hero does. And as he's stepping forward, I just kicked the mic. As he's stepping forward, he's defending these two gentlemen who are being chased down by knights, trying to figure out why are there men in knights trying to attack other guys? Where am I? And what's going on? So the knights attack him thinking he's trying to defend these two guys. And Captain America, being Captain America, easily kind of takes them down, pushes them off. The knights kind of run away. And he looks to the guys and asks them, why are you chasing us? And so here's where this cool kind of thing kind of happens. The two guys happen to be Templars on the run. And so for those who don't know the history of the Knights Templars, they were an organization of like warrior monks that sold all of their property to join the Knights Templar. And so the Knights Templar was an organization that was like a Christian organization that existed during the medieval times. And one of the things that what led to their downfall was, unfortunately, it was slander. So they were accused of doing things that weren't actually them happening. So around this time, the Knights Templar had established the very first bank ever. So if you were living somewhere where the Knights Templar were and you wanted to travel somewhere else, maybe really, really far away, and you're afraid that, thieves and stuff like that were going to take your stuff while you're traveling there, what you could do is you could drop off, or not drop off, but you would give the Knights Templar your belongings or goods, if you will, and kind of deposit it to them, and then they will send a Knights Templar with you, and they'll have a little piece of paper, or they'll give you a piece of paper that will say, like, you've given X amount of money to the Knights Templar, and you can kind of get that back once you go to where you're going. So let's just say you're moving to Jerusalem, and the Knights Templar were there, and you wanted to take your belongings. I smacked the mic again. And you wanted to take your belongings with you, without the fear of them getting robbed. So you can deposit it there, almost like a Chase bank. Deposit there, you go somewhere else, you can pull it out of that bank, anywhere around the world. That's the idea behind them, and they had gotten so much money from this that other countries would be requesting money from them to help fund wars. This is all explaining a little bit of history you don't even know, but what ended up happening is the French king, I believe, asked for money from them to help fight a war, and afterwards he did not want to pay it back. So rather than paying them back, he kind of created a lie or a scheme campaign. Not a scheme campaign. What is that right word? What's the word if you're a slander campaign? He created a slander campaign against the Knights Templars so that people would think very ill of them, and they would be hunted down and eventually, I think, executed. So we see here Captain America is dropped off in this medieval times, not knowing what's going on, and these Knights Templars are explaining to them, we've been falsely accused. There is no evidence whatsoever of what they're accusing us of, and they're hunting us down. And so Captain America, being Captain America, decides that he's going to join and kind of protect the Knights Templar. And one thing that's not really known about the Knights Templar is out of all of their members, I think it was only 500, 1,000 if at this time, that I think a very small percentage of them were actually knights. They're maybe 50. So in reality, they don't really have the means to defend themselves with that small amount of numbers. And at this point, a large majority of them have been taken out. So we get Captain America dropped off in here. These knights, if you will, are attacking and doing what they believe is correct because of the slander accusing, them believing that they are criminals and are in need of taking in an execution, and these guys are just, if you will, bankers, theologians, monks who have no means of defending themselves, except for a few of them. and even those few would no way be able to take on a whole army. So we have Captain America stepping in, and what I think would really, really cool with this scenario is that, you know, the monks are trying to travel to Avalon. That's a place where King Arthur lives, to seek refuge in Avalon. And so to have like Captain America going on a journey with these couple of monks, you know, and maybe one of them is one of the Templars, like who actually has the ability to fight. And so those guys kind of going on this journey to Avalon, it would be so epic to see like Captain America in this medieval times, you know, traveling along with these guys trying to get to Avalon, and then he runs into King Arthur, and how dope that would be. And it would be really cool to see like maybe Excalibur also has like a gem that has maybe the powers of like the Infinity Stones on there, because there's a lot of Infinity Stones for no reason at all happen to end up on Earth, you know. And so maybe this is the origins of how that might have happened. It'd be really crazy to see like, you know, maybe one of the stones that's on there is what stone would be working? I'll let you guys figure it out. What stone do you think would be like embedded in Excalibur? I thought it'd be really cool if the blade itself would be made out of the same kind of metal that Wolverine's claws are, which is different. It's adamantium. I might have pronounced that wrong. It's this made up metal that can kind of cut through anything, and is super, super strong. And then I think Captain America's shield is vibranium, which is a super rare metal, but not really. If you watch Black Panther, they have like mountains of it. That's a whole different topic. But I thought it'd be really amazing that like Captain America's launched into this thing, and like what he would actually do and how he would fight, and you know, if they kind of gotten together and started to kind of fight back against the French. But in reality, you know, Captain America at the same time, being Captain America, doesn't want to change the course of history, but he can't sit idly by while seeing innocent people fall victim for crimes they didn't do. So we have here this kind of conflict, you know, going on between like him knowing that he doesn't want to change the course of history, that it could drastically change what happens in the future, but at the same time, him, you know, not wanting to sit by and watch, you know, a bunch of guys who did nothing wrong, you know, lose their life over false accusations. So that would be a really interesting thing to kind of like dive into, as well as like seeing like Captain America maybe like having a small duel with the King Arthur, and maybe getting taught a couple of moves by like some of the other knights there, and then him exchanging some fighting techniques, because Captain America has a lot of fighting techniques as far as like hand-to-hand combat goes. And so it would be really, really cool to kind of see this kind of thing play out. And maybe, you know, he dons some armor that's like just tricked out. So I have a piece of little fan art that I kind of created where Captain America is wearing the same kind of armor from For Honor, which makes no sense, but he's so strong, he has like super strength, that he could easily wield a giant sword like that one-handed if he wanted to. And the shield is amazing, but I think his actual Captain America suit is made of like Kevlar. I think the climactic ending to the story would be, you know, Captain America trying to prevent a war going down between Camelot and France, only because King Arthur is very passionate about the Knights Templar and believes in their story and believes in their cause. And the French king obviously doesn't want any information out, because if it gets out that he created these false accusations, not only will, you know, it will put in jeopardy all the alliances that he has with other nations, but he'll be afraid of like the church during that time stop supporting them, I believe, financially as well. So without that kind of blessing, you know, you have these other surrounding nations that have formed an alliance with each other that would fall apart if they were, you know, seemed to be unchivalrous, if you will, like ungentlemanlike, and that they would like totally like turn their back on France for this kind of action. We see here, like, you know, obviously King Arthur is petitioning that these guys are falsely accusing them, and the French king is trying his best to kind of slander and stuff like that, there's definitely enough evidence to kind of prove that it's against it. So we see here this like almost epic battle to prevent King Arthur from Avalon reaching, the church to tell the other nations that this is going down. So it would be climatically coming up to this crazy medieval fight with Captain America, like on a horse with his shield and a javelin, going down, knocking dudes out. It'd be amazing to kind of see this thing go down. I can kind of see it in my head, like just imagine Captain America riding in, and there's like, catapults coming at him, and he's going in with what is the word? Cavalry. He's riding on his cavalry going through, and just it would be so amazing. It would be so amazing. And the fun part about this is I would love to know your version of this story. And I think like how he would get back would be something a little bit interesting. So like Merlin, his powers can only pull things from the future to now. It can't go in reverse. But the lady in the lake, who is supposedly this person who can exist in any body of water, I think offers to kind of put him in this deep sleep, if you will, kind of freezing him in time, to where she kind of plops him up out of like a body of water in his correct time zone, which is the one that he left in our time zone. So pretty much he goes into a stasis of slumber. So for him, it just feels like he took a nap and woke up and back in his time period. But I think that'd be crazy, like kind of like some other storyline that we can go deeper into this, with the other knights of the round table. Maybe Captain America faces off with Lancelot, and it would be so dope. And what I thought would be really cool is like creating a costume, or create like a Halloween costume, because I wanted to create one around the nights. Doing the one like this wouldn't be too far off. It would just be kind of changing some color palettes here and there, like I showed you right now with the warden from For Honor. I just took his kind of look and just kind of changed the color scheme to make it look like Captain America. And I know that there is a legit kind of character. I don't know too much about it, but I know his name is Captain Avalon, that he looks like the Captain America medieval times. I have a photo of him right there. But I would think it'd be really amazing to see like our Captain America, the one in the MCU, kind of getting launched in this medieval times kind of thing. So we see Captain America with a mixture of like Kingdom of Heaven, having like this kind of like thing going on. It'd be amazing. It'd be amazing. So yeah, let me know guys what you think down in the comment section below. You guys have an awesome one. I will catch you guys in the next one. Also, side note, the reason why I didn't have a video last week was because, unfortunately, I was hacked. And it took me like 4 days to kind of recover everything and make sure that all my stuff was fine. And that took a lot out of me to like recover that for 4 days. And then just mental and physical stress from that. I just want to take a second just to like come back 100% from that ordeal. Also, I was sick on top of that while it was going on, so yeah, I'm sorry for not making a video, but that's kind of like why I didn't make it. Hope you guys had fun with this one, and I cannot wait for the Avengers movie. If you're as hyped as I am, please let me know. Alright guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Deuces. Interrupted my story time, girl. I got a momentum, you're gonna kill me.
Okay, go.
Okay, take a sermon. Can't go backwards, only forward.